Have you ever wished your brain came with a user manual? Well, today, that's kind of what we're doing. We're going to explore a super simple method to take direct control of your mental state. Shifting from foggy to focused, or from totally unmotivated to energized. This whole thing is actually part of a bigger framework called the TASTE method. But today, we're zeroing in on just the first two letters, T and A, which stand for focus and motivation.
You know those days, right? We've all been there. You have a mountain of work to do, but your brain feels like it's wading through thick mud. Or maybe you're just buzzing with anxiety when all you really want to do is chill out. It is just so frustrating, and it's really easy to blame yourself for it.
But here's the thing. What if those feelings aren't a flaw in your character? What if they're just signals? Seriously, think of it like the check engine light in your car. Your brain is this high-performance machine, and it's just telling you, hey, I need a specific kind of fuel, or time for a quick tune-up.
And that's where this whole idea comes in. We're going to introduce a really powerful way to understand these signals and, more importantly, how to actually respond to them with specific, targeted actions. It's all about learning to speak your brain's language.
And that language? Well, it's all about chemistry. Specifically, things called neurotransmitters. You've probably heard of them. There's the chemical messengers that are basically in charge of your focus, your motivation, your mood, the whole shebang. So think of this explainer as your own personal user guide to getting them on your side.
All right, let's jump right in with the first one. It's the chemical messenger that's responsible for focus, and it's called acetylcholine. This is the stuff that lets you really zero in on a task and get that feeling of crystal clear thinking.
Here's a great way to think about it. Acetylcholine is like a pair of noise-canceling headphones for your mind. It just filters out all that background noise and mental chatter, and then it shines this super bright spotlight on whatever it is you need to focus on.
So how do you know if your acetylcholine levels are a little off? Just take a look at these two groups. Do you see yourself in Group A? Feeling kind of slow, foggy, forgetful? That's a classic sign of too little. Or are you in Group B, where your body is just wiped out but your mind refuses to shut down? That's a system overload.
Okay, so if you are nodding along with Group A and you really need to clear that brain fog, the first step is surprisingly simple. It all starts with a biochemically targeted breakfast. We just need to give your brain the raw materials it needs to build more of this focus chemical.
And seriously, it doesn't get much easier than this. The secret is in the ingredients. The egg yolks are absolutely packed with something called choline. That's the main building block for acetylcholine. Then the mushrooms give you vitamin B5, which is what actually converts that choline into the finished product. It's basically a focus-building formula you can whip up in minutes.
But what if you need a focus boost like right now? Try this wild little trick. I know it sounds a bit weird, but just the simple act of chewing something small, like an almond, in a really focused, rhythmic way, well, it stimulates a nerve that shoots more blood flow to your prefrontal cortex and triggers a release of acetylcholine. It's like a physical reset button for brain fog. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, let's switch gears and dive into the next chemical messenger, dopamine. So if acetylcholine is your focus spotlight, you can think of dopamine as the engine that actually gets you moving. This is all about your drive, your desire, and your will to get things done.
The source material calls dopamine the brain's carrot, and honestly, it's the perfect metaphor. You know the old carrot and stick idea? Dopamine is the carrot. It's the chemical that creates that I want to feeling, the one that pushes you towards your goals. Without it, even the most important stuff just feels meh.
Okay, time for another self-check. Let's see which one of these resonates with you. Are you in Group A, where it's a real struggle just to start anything and you give up pretty easily? That's a motivation deficit. Or maybe you're in Group B, where you're constantly chasing the next thrill because normal, everyday things just don't feel satisfying anymore. That's a sign your dopamine system might be a bit burned out.
So, for anyone in Group A, listen up. Here's how you can literally build your motivation with what you eat for lunch. This sandwich is an absolute powerhouse. The turkey gives you something called tyrosine, which is the raw material for dopamine. And all the other ingredients, they provide the B vitamins and iron, which are like the little factory workers that put it all together.
And again, what if you need that jolt of motivation right this second? Try this. Take whatever big task you're avoiding and break it down into the smallest possible steps. I mean, tiny. After you finish each little step, give yourself a real physical reward. A little fist pump, check it off a list, say yes out loud. Each little celebration creates a tiny burst of dopamine, and you start to build this positive feedback loop that literally manufactures motivation out of thin air.
Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds way too simple. And you know what? You're not wrong. It's not always a perfect input-output system. Sometimes you eat the right food, you try the right strategy, and you still feel stuck. So let's look at a few reasons why that might be happening.
Let's take a super common example. You ate your eggs for breakfast, all ready to be focused. But an hour later, that fog is just rolling right back in. Sound familiar? What is going on there?
Well, a lot of the time, the culprit is one of these really simple things. First, check your medicine cabinet. Common stuff like allergy pills or motion sickness meds can actually block the receptors for acetylcholine. So even if you're making plenty of it, it can't do its job. Second, and this one is huge, are you hydrated? Your brain is mostly water, and it needs it for all these chemical reactions to happen. So before you do anything else, check for those hidden blockers and maybe go drink a big glass of water.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and bring this all together. What's the real big idea here? Because it's not just about following a few recipes. It's about fundamentally changing the relationship you have with your own body and mind.
The real goal is for you to adopt the mindset of an experimenter, to become your own biohacker. This isn't a strict diet or a rigid set of rules. Think of it more like a navigation chart. Your body, your genetics, your stress levels, they're all totally unique. You're learning a system so you can start figuring out what works specifically for you. And honestly, that's what is so empowering about this whole thing. This isn't about some expensive supplements or complicated clinical treatments. As the source material puts it, this is a revolution that happens right in your own kitchen, not in some fancy clinic. It's about using the tools you already have to make real, tangible changes in how you feel every single day.
At the end of the day, science has all sorts of variables, but your body's direct feedback, that never lies. It's always telling you the truth. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you can understand the language a little bit better, what is your body trying to tell you right now?